Welcome to Mentally Strong Children Doctor channel. Today, we're going to talk about how to address repeated behaviors in your children. As parents, we often find ourselves dealing with the same behaviors over and over again, and it can be exhausting. But here's the thing. You can actually divide all of your child's behaviors into two main categories: things you wish they would start doing and things you wish they would stop doing. Now think about it. How much of your day is spent addressing the same issues over and over? How many times do you find yourself saying no or repeating the same instructions to your child, only for them to keep doing the same things? This cycle can be frustrating, but with a little strategy, it's possible to break free from it. Our brains are wired to notice the things we want to stop more easily. So don't worry, it's not about bad parenting. It's simply how we're hardwired. That's why it's important to recognize this and create a plan. You can sit down with your child and have a family meeting to address these behaviors, making a list of the things you want to stop and the things you want to start. Take a moment to list the behaviors you wish your child would stop. Whining, for example. For many parents, whining is always at the top of the list. It's something that needs to be addressed immediately. The good news is this can be done with a very simple system, and you can start using it right away. The key here is to stop certain behaviors like whining using a counting technique. This doesn't mean the traditional counting method where you count all the way to 10 only to start over again when nothing changes. No, we're going to use a more effective two-step counting process. Here's how it works. When you see a behavior you don't want, you start by saying 1. This is your signal to the child that this is a behavior you don't want them to repeat. Then, give them about 5 or 10 seconds to think about a different choice. After that, you get to 2, which means that if the behavior continues, the next step will be a consequence. You give them another few seconds to process, and if the behavior hasn't stopped, then you get to 3, at which point a clear consequence should follow. Now, let's talk about how to deal with the stop behaviors. The key here is consistency and clarity. When you reach 3, something in your child's environment must change. This could mean leaving a store, turning off the TV, or removing a toy. The important thing is that when you reach that third step, the consequence needs to be immediate and directly related to the behavior. This helps children understand that there are clear and consistent outcomes for their actions. By doing this, you provide structure, which is crucial for their emotional development. Remember, the goal isn't to be punitive, but to help your child understand the natural consequences of their actions. If you are consistent and calm when you use this technique, your child will begin to recognize that certain behaviors simply won't be tolerated and they will start making better choices. It's important to note that this technique works best when it's used consistently. It can be hard, especially when you're exhausted or frustrated, but if you give in to the behavior or allow it to slide just once, the system won't work. Children thrive on consistency, and they need to know that their actions will always lead to the same consequence. Once you have this stop system in place, the next challenge is addressing the start behaviors. Those things you want your child to begin doing, like getting in the car quickly, finishing their homework, or helping around the house. This is often the more difficult part for parents because we tend to focus more on stopping bad behaviors than encouraging good ones. So, how do we motivate children to do the things we want them to start doing? Unfortunately, it's not as simple as just telling them what to do. In fact, many times when we try to motivate children to do something, we end up punishing them instead. Think about it. You want your child to get in the car quickly, but instead of calmly directing them, you might find yourself yelling, getting upset, or even threatening to leave without them. This approach doesn't work. It only escalates the situation. What you need to do is create a system that rewards the behavior you want to see. Instead of reacting with frustration, offer an incentive that only happens once they've done what you've asked. It doesn't have to be something big or expensive. Sometimes a simple piece of gum, a sticker, or a few extra minutes of screen time will do the trick. The key to motivating your child is understanding what they truly value and enjoy. The best motivators are often things they don't want to stop doing. For example, if your child loves playing with their toys or watching a favorite show, use those activities as an incentive to encourage them to complete a task. But here's the trick: the reward should be given only after the task is done. That way, your child understands that their action directly results in the reward. Once you find what motivates your child, the next challenge is ensuring that this system works consistently. One of the easiest ways to keep your child engaged in this system is by making sure you stay motivated yourself. It can be difficult to stay patient and consistent, especially when the process seems slow or when you feel like you're repeating yourself over and over again. But the more you stay committed to this method, the more successful it will be. To help keep yourself motivated, it's essential to build in rewards for yourself too. As a parent, it's easy to get caught up in the constant cycle of addressing behaviors, but it's important to acknowledge your own efforts and celebrate small wins. Whether it's a quick break for yourself or taking time to do something you enjoy, self care is key. When you're feeling refreshed and motivated, it becomes easier to implement the strategies you need to raise a well behaved, mentally strong child. And don't forget, these strategies aren't about perfection. They're about consistency and making gradual improvements. Parenting is not an all or nothing approach. If you mess up one day or get frustrated, it's okay. What matters most is that you keep trying and stay focused on the long term goal, helping your child develop the skills they need to make positive choices. Another important factor is staying positive and reinforcing progress, no matter how small. If your child gets in the car quickly one day without needing to be reminded or yelled at, reward that behavior. Let them know you noticed and appreciate their effort. Positive reinforcement, when done properly, helps build their self esteem and motivates them to keep making good choices. When it comes to teaching kids new behaviors, it's important to recognize that children need time to adjust to these systems. They're not going to immediately understand why they should start doing something or stop doing something, especially if this is new for both you and them. So be patient with the process and allow for some trial and error. As your child begins to understand the connection between their behavior and the consequences or rewards, they'll gradually internalize the lessons. Another key part of motivating your child to adopt good behaviors is making sure the reward system is aligned with their interests. This isn't about bribing them or giving in to their every demand. It's about tapping into what they enjoy or find motivating and using that as a tool to encourage positive actions. If your child is motivated by stickers, rewards can include adding one to their chart every time they get in the car quickly. If they enjoy extra screen time, allow them a few extra minutes after they've completed a task. The goal is to create a system that doesn't feel like a punishment or something they're forced to do, but rather a way of earning the things they already enjoy. And remember, rewards don't need to be extravagant. Simple, consistent rewards can lead to lasting change in your child's behavior. Over time, as the system becomes a part of your daily routine, you'll find that your child needs fewer rewards to accomplish tasks. The goal isn't just to offer incentives for the behavior, but to gradually encourage your child to take responsibility for their actions and to become more self motivated. It's also important to note that not all behaviors can be modified with rewards and consequences alone. Some behaviors may require additional support, whether that's talking to a professional, setting up specific interventions, or offering extra help when needed. However, the framework of using clear expectations, rewards, and consequences is an effective foundation for addressing many of the repeated behaviors that parents face. The idea is to create a system where the child feels motivated to do what's expected and understands that their actions will have consequences, good or bad. You're teaching them self regulation and responsibility in a way that's manageable and clear for them. As you continue to use these techniques, you'll notice that the real key to success lies in the consistency of your approach. Kids thrive on structure. When they know exactly what to expect, they feel more secure and are more likely to make the right decisions. Whether it's a reward for completing a task or a consequence for poor behavior, the clearer and more predictable the system is, the better the results will be. But it's not just about sticking to a rigid schedule or routine, it's about being consistent in your expectations and following through with both rewards and consequences. If you say there will be a consequence for certain behavior, you must follow through with it. This consistency helps build trust and teaches your child that their actions have real outcomes, which is a crucial lesson for their emotional and social development. It's also important to adjust your methods as your child grows and their needs change. A system that works well when your child is young might need to be tweaked as they get older and more independent. For example, what once worked for getting your child into the car quickly, like offering a sticker or some extra screen time, might need to evolve into more age appropriate rewards, such as giving them the choice of which activity to do next or allowing them to choose what they wear for the day. The goal is to create a system that works for both you and your child, allowing for flexibility as needed while still maintaining consistency in the rules and expectations. Over time, this helps your child develop internal motivation and self regulation, reducing their reliance on external rewards and consequences. They will begin to internalize these lessons and apply them independently. Another important factor in maintaining consistency is to remember to be kind to yourself. Parenting isn't easy, and it's easy to feel frustrated or guilty when things don't go as planned. But it's important to recognize the effort you're putting into improving your child's behavior and emotional growth. Reward yourself for small successes, just as you reward your child for theirs. This helps keep you motivated and encourages a positive mindset for both you and your child. As you continue to implement these strategies, it's important to remember that behavior change takes time. The goal is not instant perfection, but gradual progress. Your child is learning, and just like any new skill, it will take time for them to consistently choose the right behaviors. The key is to stay patient and committed to the process. The more consistent you are, the more successful you'll be in shaping your child's behavior. Sometimes, even with the best systems in place, you might encounter challenges or setbacks. It's important not to view these moments as failures, but as opportunities to reassess and adapt. If a certain reward isn't motivating your child, or if a consequence doesn't seem to have the desired effect, it's okay to tweak your approach. Parenting is not a one size fits all journey, and each child is unique. What works for one may not work for another, and that's perfectly normal. In those moments of frustration, remind yourself of your ultimate goal: to raise a child who is emotionally strong, self regulated, and able to make positive decisions on their own. This isn't just about stopping bad behaviors, it's about encouraging growth and helping your child develop the skills they need to succeed in life. Another key to maintaining a positive atmosphere in the home is to ensure that praise is part of the equation. Positive reinforcement should be just as consistent as the use of consequences. When your child makes progress, even if it's small, acknowledge their effort. This boosts their confidence and motivates them to keep moving forward. Praising the effort, rather than just the outcome, helps foster a growth mindset and teaches them that perseverance and hard work are just as valuable as success. And finally, remember that you're not in this alone. Parenting is a shared experience, and if you're struggling with certain behaviors or feeling overwhelmed, don't hesitate to reach out for support. Whether it's talking to a partner, seeking advice from other parents, or consulting with a professional, getting support is part of being a responsible, thoughtful parent. You don't have to have all the answers, but being open to learning and growing as a parent will make all the difference for you and your child. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out the other videos on our channel for more tips and strategies to help you navigate the challenges of parenting. Together, we can build a community of parents committed to raising strong, confident, and emotionally resilient children.